from Datacentrics. Hi, everybody. This is Andre Ferneman from Datacentrics. Nice to have you on this video. Today, we're going to take a short view on a tool called Lansweeper. This is a tool that is very well known in the IT industry for asset inventory and risk profiling. But really, today, we're going to have a look to see what this tool can actually do in your OT or production environment. Part of Datacentrics' whole strategy around building a complete offering to customers on the production line, really is pivoted on visibility, zero trust, and automation. And for us to be able to build out a security posture, asset inventory, and visibility of these OT assets is really fundamental and important. So we're going to take a look at Lansweeper. From our perspective, we carry many tools. We can use, Nozomi, we can use Cisco CyberVision, we can use Tenable OT, we can use Forescout OT, we can use Phosphorus. There's a multitude of tools in our tool set that we can use to be able to give the customer a very strong asset inventory perspective. But normally we plug that into device technology like the TX1, Sage 1, industrial Fortinet firewalls, industrial Cisco firewalls. But today's session is literally going to be just to have a look and see what Lansweeper is up to and what they do in this space. So hopefully you're going to enjoy it. And if there's any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at any time. So what is Lansweeper? Lansweeper is a traditional scanning tool which is used in IT environment and really gives you the capability to look at different technologies sitting in your environment. I'm going to go through the platform quickly so we can have a look and see what is in this platform. But really, it's a tool that gives you dashboarding. It allows you to look at different aspects like IT, OT, your IoT environment. Also quite important is your cloud assets. So it doesn't help us to secure the shop floor and secure your IT department, but some storage administrator leaves a storage blob as public and all your data is gone, right? But also allows you to look at network devices and also servers. And then the use cases are quite unique. It gives you a network management capability, asset inventory, which is fundamentally the important function that I try and help my customers with. It also gives you a little bit of service management and CMDB capability, cybersecurity overlay when it comes to matching CVEs to risk you've got in your environment, asset lifecycle management, as I said, OT asset management, which I'm really interested in more, but security incidents, and then also some BI analytics that you can wrap on top of that. Right? It gives you a cross-platform asset discovery, which is quite important, so you don't have any blind spots. We know that OT is normally hacked from IT, so if someone is coming in from a remote server or someone is exploiting you from Active Directory, maybe on the IT side, it's very important that we cover this from multiple angles. It's got one unified asset inventory across all of the estate, which means from end of life, end of support, OT asset amortization perspective, it's quite a handy tool. And it really gives the IT type of data back to process engineers and people that actually are busy working on spreadsheets to do asset inventory, which I think is really important. Then it also gives you the capability to look at your risk. And this risk is then, as I said, overlaid between IT and OT, which makes it quite unique. It's got all kind of visual effects. So what this also means is when you do specific scans and you're busy with maybe IEC 62443, you can see specific services speak to specific areas, and you can build your conduiting and your zoning according to the data that you pull out of the system. It's got integration with Armis, with Jira, ITSM, ServiceNow, so pretty much integrates with some of the top tier packages. But it's built on passive discovery. You've got warranty information collection that you can do, so very important from an end of life, end of support perspective. You can also plug into SCCM and Intune and AirWatch from a discovery perspective. You can do agent-based or agentless scanning, which is pretty cool. And as I said, it's got that cloud integration. So when we look specifically at what this does from an OT perspective, the Lansweeper can pick up PLCs, SCADA interfaces, DCS systems, CNC, building management access control, CCTV, lighting systems, energy monitoring systems. So it has a pretty widespread of compatible devices that it pulls through. Really good for asset inventory to give you that first line of protection. If you open up a specific PLC, you can actually see all of the IO modules in that PLC, quite handy. but really goes through all of the main segments that you would need from a compliance perspective: visibility and awareness, vulnerability management, risk assessment and management, incident response and recovery, compliance and reporting, and conducting, zoning, segmentation of the network. Really gives you the capability to do active scanning. So what that means is it understands Rockwell, Siemens, Bosch, Yokogawa protocols, management protocols. And when it actually communicates into this environment, it doesn't do a Nmap type scan. It actually speaks the management interface of those specific OT devices, which I find to be extremely cool. When we then look at, what does this mean for IT and OT convergence with Lansweeper? Really one platform to get complete visibility across the board. You can pinpoint your remediation across the two sectors, and you can build a decent lifecycle management across IT, OT assets like your engineering workstations, your SCADA, your historian, and your Active Directory sitting on the OT zone, and then also those PLC assets. But you can really scan without disruption. The technology is scalable. The way that it's licensed is quite nice, per site, and I'll go into that. And you've got a cloud and an on-prem option. And this just goes through some of the scanning, your attack surfaces, lifecycle management, compliance, once again, some of the integration. But really from there, I think it's quite important to look at the costing. When we look at technologies that you have to put in place where you do tapping and spanning, it really becomes expensive for you to be able to provision visibility technology across the shop floor. So it's interesting to always find tools like Phosphorus or like Lansweeper, where you actually have a virtual machine and you expose the subnets to this virtual machine, and you can do your visibility, right? You don't get to see that deep-rooted east-west traffic from that edge switch, so that Rockwell or that Siemens sitting at the edge where PLC data is moved from HMI to PLC, but really for you to get a basic understanding of your assets, doing something like this actually makes sense. So here's the modules, the free one, which I'm using, Starter, Pro, and Enterprise, really based on a monthly billing or a monthly amount that you can bill annually. But when we look at what's included, you get asset discovery and inventory. The free one has 100 assets, unlimited user seats, and community support. When you bump that up to Starter, you get 2,000 assets. You've got one installation. You also have OT discovery, but you have the service desking capability. When we go to Pro, it's everything that is in the Starter, right? But you get 3 different installations, so 3 different plants or sites. You get vulnerability and lifecycle included. You've got single sign-on, and all of the integration is available. When you want to go one step up to Enterprise, you've got 10,000 assets, more than 3 installations, full API access. You've got a customer success manager, you've got assistance for global deployments, and you've got concierge services as well, and you've got enterprise support. So really, really interesting when it comes to the different tiers that they've got. Some customers that are currently using the technology, like ArcelorMittal, really use this for asset inventory, asset management across IT and OT, gaining full visibility, optimizing the cost, having easily accessible data, and critical oversight of OT technologies when it comes to the production line. So very interesting that big customers are adopting this tech. So what I've done is I've actually downloaded Lansweeper so we can have a look and see what the tech looks like. I've got a local VM that runs, and then I've got the cloud instance, done a local scan on my local LAN, picks up 19 assets. It looks at your software packages. It finds new devices since the last scan. It categorizes that into workstations and really gives you all of the vulnerabilities, a bit of a dashboard that you can attach to that. So a pretty cool tool when it comes to just having a broad view of what's happening. Then if we look at what's happening from a scanning perspective, we can look at servers, our scan servers. We can look at specific targets. We look at the credential vault, so you could look at all of the credentials that's currently being saved. We can look at the asset radar. These are all just discovery or scanning capability. But if we go into inventory, we really get the data that we need, right? So from here, we can see all of the devices that's been made into the inventory. We can, let's see if we can move that. Doesn't look like we can, but really gives you the capability to look at the devices that I've got on the network. So if I go to my laptop, for instance, you can really dig into the details of the specific device, what it is, the firmware version, the BIOS version, the risk, the memory, the full configuration. And this really gives you a lot of information that's very pertinent from an OT perspective as well. But you can do the lifecycle management on top of it. You can actually map asset information like the maintenance, the asset tag, warranty information, and then you can have a decent view in regards to how to manage end of life and end of support across this platform. But asset inventory really gives us a fair amount of information. You can do that on cloud assets. You can have specific groups. You can look at domains. You have an asset radar. You can map locations towards it, which I think is quite funky. But inventory is really important. When from there we look at software, so you can look at all of the software that's been installed on a specific asset, all of the different versions of the software. You can dig a little bit deeper and you can drill into that specific software application, but really gives you a very advanced view. We can then look at the amount of users. We can look at the risk. And this is quite interesting because we can see all of the vulnerabilities that are critical, high, medium, and if we go to those specific vulnerabilities, we can actually see what they are. We can look at that vulnerability. We can, what if you had the pro, you could actually go into that CVE and see what the remediation capability or remediation requirement is, which I think is very cool. But you've got all of your vulnerability insights. You can look at the active vulnerabilities. You can look at your hardware life cycle. You can look at your operating system life cycle. You can build custom reports. You've got network diagrams if you want to do conducting and zoning. You've got marketplace integration. If you want to integrate with some of the other platforms. But I actually did skip the OT overview. If you had a OT component, we could see all of the assets. We could see the manufacturers. We could see the models and the overview, the protocols on the networks, the module types that's included. So pretty much a decent application that customers can use to get baseline capability. And I think I'll be writing an article on this quite soon, to see if it's something that you guys need any information on, then you can just reach out to me and then, I'll see what I can do and we'll take it from there. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. And if you need anything, hit me on LinkedIn and I can support you however I can. Have a good one. Cheers. Bye.